Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a very special look back at the past few weeks and what this energy is all about. As you guys know, I've been taking a little bit of a break because I was called to. I was called to step back from readings. Even if I wanted to do readings, it was like I couldn't. I was kind of on lockdown. I was kind of on shutdown. Not just resting, I was really working on projects in the physical sense, a lot of admin work for my businesses. But as far as channeling, it was almost like I was in a void. Now, this void wasn't like it had been before, where it felt like strange and uncomfortable. This felt actually safe. This felt very comfortable. This just felt like we were in a place of Four of Swords. He just showed me the Four of Swords. And that's what it was, a place of rest, a time for rest, because there's so much that is happening energetically on the astral realms. And we're going to talk about that too. I do want to go back to a couple of weeks ago. The new moon in Aquarius created a major, major shift for us. And when I decided that I wanted to share all of this and talk about all of this energy, they gave me the title, The Surrender Shift. Now, I'm a writer, and so I'm saying surrender to the shift, the surrender shift. There's their punctuation in there because it just, to my writer mind, it just seemed very strange. And they said, no, call it the surrender shift, because that's essentially what it's all about. It is all about surrender, and we'll get into why later. So that's what the title is of this video, of these channeled messages. That's what we're going to be talking about. That's exactly how they want it to be put, so that's exactly how we're going to leave it. Okay, so let's go back to the new moon in Aquarius. And some of you guys might have seen this on my Instagram and Facebook because while it was fresh, I really did want to talk about it and channel it. But there has been so much that has happened since that it was like they didn't want me to do this until more understanding came through. This cycle, this lunar cycle from the new moon in Aquarius to this full moon in Virgo that is happening, I think it's today and tomorrow. Um, take it as it resonates for you, this energy, but we are in the full moon in Virgo energy. This has been massive as far as change, as far as surrender within ourselves. Now, we've been talking on this channel for the past several months that this timeline, this time period, is going to be about transition. It's been about releasing the old and transitioning into that new energy. And that new energy really is the rainbow grid. We've been anchoring in unity consciousness. We've been anchoring in higher consciousness and that rainbow grid. They're calling me back to July and June of the past year, where we had talked about how there was a significant shift where new earth energy was birthed collectively. And what we've been doing is we have been clearing the path, paving the path to help integrate that energy, those light codes, and really bring that in, really anchor that in much more fully. And so what has been happening is we've been in this kind of transition period where it's felt like we've been in between worlds. And they're showing me that in between worlds card from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, where it's almost like, and we had that in a daily energy draw a couple of weeks ago, where it's like the old version, the old matrix is very dull, very dense, very black and white, very, gray in color, where the new earth energy, that rainbow grid, which is what we're anchoring in now, is very vibrant, very colorful. It's magic. It just has this essence and feeling of magic and vibrancy and light and love, because that's essentially what it is. We're releasing all that soul sludge, all that dense energy, all of that lower vibrational energy, because we are shifting into higher consciousness. And as we shift into higher consciousness, we shift dimensions. A dimension is just a level of consciousness. And so as we raise our consciousness and we shift dimensions, everything feels brighter, because it is. Everything feels newer. Everything feels fresher. Our energy is different because our energy is higher. It's not being pulled down into that lower consciousness, into that lower density. And so let's go back. Okay, so this new moon in Aquarius, this timeline, this time period right now is the transition. And between the new moon in Aquarius, which created a massive shift, it was an upheaval, a tower moment that really shook you to push out the remaining debris, the remaining energy to close out those cycles of the past. And so the full moon is really helping to anchor that in. And it's Virgo energy, they're saying, which is earth energy, which is really helping us to ground this energy. Especially with Pisces season right now, it can feel very emotional, can feel very floaty. We've been experiencing that, a lot of us. But because it's water energy. But with the full moon in Virgo, it's going to help us ground all of that energy. And we need that grounding right now because we're anchoring all of this in. So what we've been doing with this transition period is they really pushed us. The universe was really shifting. Collectively, we're shifting. As a planet, as a collective, as humanity, we're shifting. We're evolving. We're ascending. And so what's really happening is we needed that extra push to close out the cycles. And a lot of us am having a lot of throat chakra activations. You might be experiencing a lot of physical symptoms because you are going through a major upgrade right now. And which is also why I was called to take a step back, because there's so much energy coming in right now. The human resonance is off the charts. There's so much happening. You can feel the shifts within, and the shifts are much more palpable. They're much more tangible, more physical. You can really feel the energy shifting, the timelines shifting. And even people who aren't so much aware or in tune to energy and vibration can feel this. So this is really a prominent, profound time that we're in. There's massive changes that are happening, whether we're aware of it or not. So this transition period, I want to go back to that for a minute. This transition period is really pivotal because, again, it was pushing us to release the past. And that's really what we're doing. We're really anchoring into the present moment, because the present moment is really how we bring in that new earth energy. Releasing the past is in the past. We can't go back to it. We carry with us the wisdom of it. We carry with us the lessons and the experiences. But we've really closed out the cycle where we were creating the old stories, where we were holding on to old beliefs and patterns and cycles. We're closing that out, have closed that out. We cannot go back and should not go back. As such, we are looking towards the future, but we're also being very grounded in the now moment, in the present moment, knowing that every moment is shifting. And because the shifts can be subtle or great upheaval, tower moments, it's really helping us be in the present moment, because this is where we create with the universe. We can't look too far ahead, because then we are stepped into worry, we're stepped into expectation, really grounding our energy in the now moment, in the present moment, because this is where we create. This is all there is. This is all there is. We create our future timelines from where we are in our energy here and now. So it's really important to remain grounded. It's really important to be aware of your mindsets and your patterns and the beliefs that are cropping up, any triggers, clear them, transmute them. And we're doing that almost instantaneously. So that you can come back to the present moment, so that you can come back to the essence of love, because love lives in the present moment. Okay, so let's go back to the new moon in Aquarius. And like I said, some of you guys might have seen these channeled messages on my Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to repeat it a little bit here because this is massive. It's piggybacking off of that energy. So there was a major energetic shift around the new moon in Aquarius, immediately following the energy of the new moon in Aquarius. Many of you guys may have experienced a tower moment, whether it was externally or internally, or both. For those of you who are sacred partners, you may have experienced this with your counterpart. Either you were feeling their energy as they were going through a tower, or you were in physical proximity as they were going through a tower. Like, for example, me and my divine masculine experienced a tower moment. He experienced it in his physical world. I was there supporting him and experiencing it within. Now, tower moments can look like great upheaval, can look like great shakeups and chaos. But what it's actually doing is it's breaking free, breaking loose anything that is no longer serving your highest timeline, your highest vibration, that higher level of consciousness where you are moving into. So tower moments really are breakthroughs and revelations that are kind of disguised as chaos, that are disguised as upheavals and sudden changes. But it's really the universe that is coming in to shake you. I'm hearing shake you out of your reverie So if you were in stagnant energy, or if things were kind of at a standstill, or if you were even in ego resistance, the tower, the universe, comes in and shakes you up, because you are meant, your soul is guiding you to the next level of your evolution, the next stage of consciousness, and you cannot stay in that energy any longer. So the universe comes in and shakes you up. For a lot of sacred partners, this was closing out an old cycle of the past, and especially of the past few years. I'm hearing 2012 to 2019, but especially 2017 to 2019, there was a huge cycle that was playing out, that was closing out. So, especially for the masculine energy, this was closing out a major cycle for the masculine energy. This is both the masculine embodiment and the masculine energy within you if you're a divine feminine. So remember, you hold both energies within you, masculine and feminine. For sacred partners, you are embodied in two different bodies, the masculine and feminine energy. So if you're divine, if you consider yourself a divine feminine, then it's your masculine energy within you, but it was embodied in your divine masculine, in your physical person. So for more clarity, I'm just going to read this out loud. For more clarity, the masculine embodiment may have experienced this in their physical world, while the inner masculine energy of the embodied feminine felt this shift within themselves. Again, it was all about a shift. It was all dislodging all of the old soul gunk, soul sludge, all of the old templates, the old programming, the old conditioning, the old karmic cycle. Both counterparts closed out a cycle of healing, which has led to an up-leveling of their ascension journey and a deepening of this connection. And you might have felt this too. You might have seen this in the evidence if you are physically in communication and partnership with your divine counterpart, or you may have felt this energetically. You have felt a shift. You felt, I'm hearing, an awareness of your connection, a recognition of your connection, and a deepening of your connection. It's just felt like heart expansion, heart opening, and a level of awareness and clarity that may not have been fully there before. And here's a reminder that I had spoken of, and I want to draw you guys to the update that I did. You're already in union. You've always been in union. I'll put a link to that very important reading and channeled message below. You can watch the full reading where that channeled message came in, or just the part of that channeled message. But you have always been in union. That has been a very powerful and profound message that has been coming in. Really important for these sacred partners to know. You have always been in union. It's only the illusion of separation that you have been clearing. So remember, you and your counterpart are one. You might experience this journey from different physical vantage points, and that's where a lot of triggers come from. That's where a lot of cross communication comes from, because you have the same understanding, you're just coming at it from different angles. That's a yin and the yang energy here. But you're experiencing the energy together. Separation is merely an illusion that you are transcending. You are in union and always have been in union. You're clearing out any energy around the perception of separation. This is union with your counterpart, union with yourself, and union with God, which is all one in the same, because it's that Trinity energy. It's all one in the same. That is the illusion of separation, saying that you have to be in union, or that you're going into union. You've always been in union. The process of union is just clearing out the illusion that separation ever existed in the first place. So I'm going to really direct you guys and encourage you to check out the links in the description box below, because really, really profound energy coming through with that. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So let's talk about the divine masculine and the divine feminine and how they may have experienced this tower moment. The divine masculines experience this tower moment to push them to the next level of their awakening and their evolution. They have been standing on the precipice of change and transformation within themselves, which is that inner union, which is that wholeness, that balance of the feminine and masculine energies within. For these divine masculines, the feminine energy within them had been so suppressed due to societal conditioning, the patriarchy, thousands upon thousands of lifetimes and years of suppression and repression, forgetting the feminine energy within them. They had buried that far down, and that feminine energy is what allows us to communicate, allows us to express ourselves, allows us to feel with our emotions and trust our intuition, rather than just letting our logic mind lead us, rather than letting our egoic mind lead us. And so the divine masculine really had been birthing this new feminine energy within them, letting that rise, and that inner union for divine masculines is, well, for both, is balancing out the masculine and the feminine energy. Divine feminines had been healing a lot of distorted masculine energy while learning how to embody their sacred feminine self. So divine feminine had been in a place of woundedness. Her feminine nature had been wounded because her masculine nature had been distorted. She felt like she needed to go to the other extreme of too much independence, too much over masculine energy, taking too much action because she didn't feel supported. She didn't feel heard. She didn't feel appreciated. She didn't feel like she could express herself. So she either hid her expressions, closed herself off, or she overexpressed herself. She wasn't able to receive. She was overgiving. She wasn't able to go with the flow of receive. She wasn't able to go with the flow of life. Feminine energy naturally flows. Remember, when I'm talking about feminine and masculine here, I'm talking about the embodiment, but I'm also talking about both. So take it as it's resonating for you, because both energies have been experiencing this. So divine feminines, you have been experiencing this from the feminine angle. Divine masculines have been experiencing this from the masculine angle, but you've both been experiencing this energetically together. You've both been healing this energetically together. Feminine energy also learning how to release control, because that masculine energy was very controlling, very rigid. So there's 1,000 different ways you may have experienced this in your upbringing, in your life, but what you've been doing on this ascension journey is clearing that out, healing that template, so that your divine essence, your divine feminine and masculine energies can come into wholeness together. That is inner union. Balancing that out so that the wounded states, the distorted states, are cleared, so that you are coming into balance, so that you are in your divine essence, your divine nature. Okay, so divine masculines have been on the precipice of that change and transformation and inner union with themselves, but had still been holding themselves back through repeating cycles of residual fear. The Tower moment may have looked familiar on the surface. It may have looked like they were repeating a cycle, but it was significantly different. It was not a repeat of the past, because the energy was clearly different, because the masculine energy was clearly different, because of the transformation they had been going through. This was to show the divine masculines how they have been transforming all along due to the work they've been doing, and they have been doing tremendous amount of work. Both of you have been doing a tremendous amount of work. I'm just getting so much support and love from spirit right now, from your spirit team, saying thank you, thank you, thank you for doing this work, because this is what it's all for. It's for shifting the consciousness of the planet. Shifting the consciousness of yourself has a powerful ripple effect. The work that you've been doing has a powerful ripple effect on not just all of humanity, not just this planet, not just this paradigm, but the universe as a whole. It's major, it's massive what you are doing. So this gave them confidence to fully free themselves from outdated programming, patterns, mindsets, and habits, behaviors, addictions that were holding them back from rising to the best version of themselves that they had truly longed to be. So this Tower moment came in, might have looked familiar, it might have looked like a cycle was repeating itself, and it's going to look different for everybody, but what it was actually doing, it was pushing the divine masculine to see the transformation and the energy shift within themselves, to give them that boost of confidence and worthiness, and to show them how connected they are to you, divine feminine, to themselves, and to source. It was to push them into the next level of their evolution, of their transformation, of their journey, where they might have been holding themselves back a little bit because of residual fear. These dams are no longer chained to the past versions of themselves. They're experiencing a sense of freedom and empowerment that feels brand new and exciting. As they anchor this energy in, they'll begin embodying this more in their physical experience, and you'll be seeing this, they'll be seeing this in their physical experience. Now, for the divine feminine, they either experienced this Tower moment physically with their counterpart or felt it energetically, but you knew that you were sharing this experience with your divine masculine. As the union of the masculine and feminine energies were felt in its full power, you felt your counterpart. You felt like you were going through this shift in real time. You felt this union. You felt this wholeness. And that's the only way I can describe it. It's this wholeness. And as you felt this wholeness with your inner union within, you knew that you were in union with your divine counterpart embodied. divine feminines felt the shifting of the inner masculine energy from a distorted perception to its divine essence. You felt that shift. You felt your divine masculine rise. I don't know how else to put it. This truly is the rise of the divine masculine. As we've been channeling over a year, this is the yin and the yang energies locking into place. So you have the yin and yang symbol. They had been kind of distorted, kind of not exactly in full working order. I don't know how else to put it, but you actually felt the yin and yang lock into place, into that circle, exactly where it's meant to be, so that the wheel starts turning. And the wheel starts turning for the next level ascension, working in partnership together. This is mirroring the DM. The tower moment may have looked or seemed familiar on the surface to the divine feminine, wherein some fears of the past repeating itself may have cropped up, but the energy was markedly different. Divine feminines intuitively felt this and became fully anchored into her faith, compassion, and love. Indeed, if fears did come up, she was able to easily transmute them and return to a place of peace and love. With this shift, the divine feminine stepped fully into her divine essence and power. The cycle of the past, particularly with her counterpart, was placed firmly behind her. I'm going to pause here and give you guys an example of what I experienced. My divine masculine and I experienced something in our physical reality that felt like it was a repeat of the past. My divine masculine experienced something of an emergency, and that would have put me into a place of wanting to protect him and fear and what's going to happen, oh my goodness. But instead, I said to myself, he's got this. I believed so fully in him, because my ear is so clogged right now because I feel spirit so fully. My faith was so fully with God, with the universe, with source, whatever it is that you want to call that pure love energy. All I felt was faith and love. And I felt the wholeness of our union. I felt the wholeness of me with my divine masculine with me. Where once upon a time I had this phenomena experience where it was like I was looking through his eyes. I felt that again. I felt so fully merged with my divine masculine energy and with source. It felt just this wholeness. And with that wholeness came a sense of peace and faith. And from that place of peace and faith, we created miracles. The situation kind of fell away in that respect, and my divine masculine, he just recognized his own transformation. He recognized his own power, and recognized the depth of our connection, the power of our connection. I don't know how else to put it. It was complete surrender, where I released responsibility over my divine masculine. I knew that he had this. I just put my faith in God, and he did. He did. My divine masculine was strong and just powerful within his own energy, and it created this almost like this miracle for us, where we were able to get through it, and it shifted our connection to a much deeper energy. And what this was surrender. This was showing us surrender, because I was surrendering to my inner divine masculine, saying, you've got this. I believe in you. I have faith in you. Surrendering to source, knowing that we were co-creating with source, co-creating with the divine. So this was complete surrender. It was a complete surrender to the masculine energy, and the masculine embodied was surrendering to the divine feminine, knowing that she was supporting, knowing that she was loving, knowing that she was always beside him. And together we were surrendering to God. That's what this has all been about, surrender. Okay, so this created this significant, powerful union energy, this wholeness, this just faith, and it was anchored in. It's not going anywhere now. It's not going anywhere now. We have felt that in the past. We as a collective have felt that in the past, but it kind of wavered a little bit, where 1 minute you were feeling faith, 1 minute you were feeling doubt, 1 minute you were trusting, 1 minute you were lacking. This tower moment was significant because it anchored in that union energy. It anchored in that wholeness. It anchored in that awareness and that faith. I'm also hearing it anchored in that surrender. They're saying don't forget that. It anchored in that surrender. So here's what it felt like, and this is what I wrote as well. It feels like we burst through the doorway of this next level of our ascension journey, fully embracing and embodying our divine essence, in union with both our divine masculine and divine feminine energies. This sense of wholeness and all that comes with it, unwavering faith, love, compassion, strength, and recognition of the divine within all living consciousness. That's another part of it too. You recognize the divine working through everybody and all living consciousness, everybody, everything. You recognized the thread of love, the thread of source working through all of these experiences, especially this tower moment that you experienced. You recognized source, you recognized the purpose for it, you recognized the love that was moving through it. This is leading to a deepening of our connection to ourselves, with our sacred partners, and with source. Excuse me. The veil of separation had been removed. As you experience this internally, you'll begin recognizing this in your external world with your physical connection with your counterpart. This really is everything that we've been channeling for the past year. It is happening here and now, and it's almost mind-blowing, because it's like, you know, as a channeler, as a reader, it's like, okay, you know, I know what I'm channeling. It's stuff that I haven't heard before, so I'm believing it, I'm trusting in it. But I tend to channel ahead of time. And so for me, it's almost like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. But it's happening now. Everything that we've been channeling since the onset of my channel, since I've been doing this, especially the past 6 months, pivotal energies coming in. It's happening here and now. And again, I'm going to point you guys to, I think I called it the cosmic blueprint or something like that, birthing a new earth, birthing a new reality, whatever it's called. I'll put a link in the description box. We channeled that at the very beginning of this channel almost 3 years ago. It is happening here and now. It is blowing me away. It is mind-blowing, but it is crazy because it's so magical. It's happening. It is here. That is this journey. It is here. It is not for nothing. It's because of the work that each of you have been doing. Because you are shifting. You're helping to shift your connection. You're helping to shift the paradigm. You're helping to shift the entire planet and the universe itself. This is incredible. Yeah, no words can do this energy justice. So is a major spiritual expansion that is taking place. It feels more like a spiritual or energetic explosion. Spirit was showing me the Big Bang as a metaphor, and that's exactly what we had channeled in that cosmic blueprint, whatever that channeled message title was called. That's exactly what they had shown me. The shift has created a massive amount of energy to be experienced. It's the same massive amount of energy that happens when you and your counterpart recognize that you're in union, the power that comes from your love. But this is not just between counterparts, but for the global collective. There's an immense amount of light codes pouring in at this time. So although you might be feeling fiery energy such as motivation, productivity, a need to just go and do, you're being asked to rest as you're called to in order to integrate this energy as your physical body becomes accustomed to this shift. And I said this here, and I'm going to repeat it now. I can't emphasize the pure amount of power and love behind this energy. You will feel this. You will feel this if you're experiencing this now. And if you're not experiencing this quite yet, this is what it's all for. This is where you're headed. Okay, this is what it's called. Being once again reminded of a channeling I did in June of 2019. The link is in the description box below. The Cosmic Effect, Birthing a New World. That similar Big Bang energy came through in those messages. That's what we're experiencing right here, right now. So, more has happened since then. For myself personally, when I channeled the channeled message, the reading about union, you've always been in union, there was so much energy and so much power and love pouring through that reading, that I remember going down to the kitchen and saying to my divine masculine, I need to rest for a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit, it wasn't drained, it was just tired, because there was so much energy there, and it was like my body couldn't handle it yet. So I took some time to rest. But the time I took ended up being almost like 2 days, 2 or 3 days, because I started feeling just so drained. But it wasn't drained in a negative sense. It was just, like I said, my body couldn't quite handle it yet. And I remember laying on my bed and looking up at the ceiling, not feeling like I was connected to my body. And my divine masculine helped to take care of me. He was helping to ground me because I couldn't ground myself. And I realized there was so much, even though I wasn't consciously aware of it, I was consciously here. I wasn't, I wasn't having visions. I wasn't seeing anything. I was just kind of separate from myself, separate from my body. And so even when I got up to get up, there was so much energy that I was lightheaded, I was dizzy, I couldn't support myself. I was just not physically grounded, and it took a while to ground myself again. What I realized was happening was there was so much happening on the astral realms, and what it felt like was I just saw myself picking up a sword with my divine masculine. It was like it was a sword of light, and we were fighting against any darkness that was coming to attack us, because there was so much power in that realization that you're already in union. Where the veil had been created of separation, having you believe that you were in separation, now that had been lifted, you're always in union with God. It was almost like a psychic attack. It didn't feel so negative, but I realized that we were transmuting a ton of energy there. So that you might have felt very flighty. Even this past week, that happened, I think it was last weekend, even this past week, you might have felt very flighty. You might have felt very ungrounded, having trouble grounding yourself. You might have felt spaced out, a call to rest. I'm also hearing that your appetite might have changed as well. It's all because a couple of things were happening. It's because you were bringing in so much more energy, so much more light codes, that your body was having kind of a little bit of trouble catching up. Your body was integrating all of that, so it needed that time to rest and not do anything so that you could integrate all of that. And because there was so much happening in the astral realms, remember, you are multidimensional beings. While you're here having this human experience, you're also having a lot of energetic experiences. And some of us, I know that I experienced that really for the first time. As I was talking to a friend on Zoom, I was experiencing my past self with my divine counterpart rewriting our Akashic records. It was like in real time, side by side. So we really are multidimensional beings, existing on different planes of existence, different dimensions. And so you might be experiencing that as well. But really ground yourself, because you're still in this physical plane, still in this physical body. Allow yourself to rest and ground yourself. Do whatever it is that your body is calling to. It's funny because I was called to eat a lot of meat, where I wanted vegetables. Like I got a stromboli. I wanted a vegetable stromboli, but I was called to eat a deli stromboli, to eat meat. It was because it was that grounding force. It was because my body really needed that to help me ground again. So really trust your intuition, trust yourself, use your own discernment about what you need. Nobody else can tell you what your body is calling for, what you need. Trust your own intuition there. Okay, it continues. I had a sacred experience that I talked about a little bit on Facebook and on Instagram as well in a post with my divine masculine. He was there with me. And it was, without going into detail about that, what it was bringing out the inner child within me. Well, two things happened. I really anchored in to my inner child again, where divine mother energy was moving through me, speaking through me, and saying that life is a beautiful playground. It's a playground in which we create. We're not meant to suffer. When I was very, very sick with Lyme disease, that was a suffering I have never before known, will never want to experience again. It was at a time where I was physically dying. My body was physically giving out. My heart was fading. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. It was. And it's amazing that I can talk about it now, because without crying, because that was such a traumatic experience for me. I feel like everybody on this journey has experienced something that was a catalyst for them. Lyme disease was my catalyst. Now, when I was journaling through that, because as a writer, journaling was my catharsis, writing was my catharsis. And I didn't realize I was channeling at the time. I didn't realize it was automatic writing. I just called it conversations with the universe, because what would happen was I would start writing my feelings, and then all of a sudden it was like my subconscious came forward, my conscious mind took a step back, and I was speaking to God. I was speaking to the universe. The universe was responding to me. And what they were saying was, we don't want you to suffer, we want you to play. And I'm saying to myself at that time, how can I play when I'm suffering? How can I play when I am in so much physical and emotional pain? But I understand it now, because they brought forth that same message as a couple of years ago. They brought forth the energy of life is a playground. You are meant to create. That is who you are. That's your divine essence. You are okay, I'm going to cry because this is so powerful. What God is saying right now, you are my child. The universe is saying, you are my child. And as that child, you are meant to be innocent. You are meant to be playful. This is your playground life. This experience is your playground. You are no longer meant to suffer. That is what you're transcending. You're no longer meant to suffer. You're meant to create in the power of love. Be a co-creator with me. And all of this human experience is your playground. What do you want to create now? What do you want to create? How do you want to play with the universe in such a beautiful divine light, in such a beautiful energy of love? And so that message came forth, and what was equally powerful was it was balanced with my mature feminine energy. The part that I had suppressed my sexuality, I had suppressed my sensuality. And so that was coming forth as well, where I felt womb activations as well. So it was balancing out that inner child with the divine feminine woman I had become. And that's going to be different for everybody, because energy, it's the divine feminine essence. For me, it was recognizing my sexuality and sensuality as a woman. But it's non-gender specific. It was just, I'm just sharing my experience here. But this is the feminine energy that is rising and anchoring in, and the divine masculine that is being called to rise up to protect her, to support her, to stand beside her as balanced partners. I don't even want to say the word equal partners, because that doesn't do it justice. As balanced partners, as that God and goddess. And so that's what happened. That's what I experienced. It was just more surrender to my inner child that wanted to play. Surrender to my divine feminine essence, that mature energy of the sexual and sensual woman. And remember, sexuality, sensuality is life force. The sacral chakra is all about creativity. It's all about creation energy. And when we're talking about sex and sexuality, it's not about the physical nature of sex as we knew it in the old paradigm. This is sacred. This is creation energy. This is that, I just don't know how to have a word for it. We've channeled this on the channel before. This is that life force energy. This is how you manifest. This is how you birth your new reality. This is how you birth your sacred self. This is all, this it's energy. It's not so much an act, although it can express itself in a physical act when you're with a divine partner, but it is all the energy. It's sacred sexual energy, creation energy, life force energy. And so that was activated within me as well. So it was an immensely powerful week. I know why they called me to draw back from talking about it yet, because there was so much that was still ongoing, and it's still ongoing. If you can believe it, it's going to keep on going. It's going to keep going, but we're anchoring this in really with the full moon in Virgo. Now, you might have experienced a timeline shift where it feels like, where everything feels different, where it feels like the past is fully anchored into the past, where you can't even though you have those memories, even though you experienced it, it's almost like that's such a faded photograph. You can't call it back to you like you're living that story again now. It's so faded. It's fully anchored in the past. That's because they're anchoring you into the present moment. Again, the importance of that present moment. And another thing, even if you are being triggered, for example, yesterday I felt a little bit of trigger, a little bit of annoyance of old stuff coming up, but it was a different energy. Again, that timeline shift, that dimension shift. All I felt through that was love. And I realized that, like that, I was transmuting it into light. Any of the old egoic stuff that was coming up, oh, I'm annoyed by this, or this is bothering me, or this is triggering me. It was like instantaneous light, instantaneous back to love. Through the triggers, I was still feeling the love. The love was overcompensating. I don't know if that's the right word. It was overcoming any of the fear-based egoic triggers that might have been coming up to the surface. And all we were doing was clearing it. That's all that was happening. It was coming up to the surface to be released, so that you're not hanging on to it, so that you're not telling a story around it again, so that you can anchor more and more into that love, which is, once again, the present moment. So what's happening? We are anchoring in union. We are anchoring in higher dimensions, higher consciousness. We're anchoring in that unity consciousness. We're anchoring in these sacred partnerships and the power behind it. And it's just going to keep unfolding in a magical, powerful way. I do want to say this. I was called to do a light language transmission around the divine feminine energy. They had me hold off until now when I was relaying these channeled messages. So I will put a link to it in the description box below. It's called Inviting the Empress, Invoking the Goddess. I had originally gotten the title Inviting the Empress, and then they added Invoking the Goddess onto it. This is in partnership with the Divine Masculine Healing the Father Wound light language transmission that we had done a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to put everything in the description box below. If you're just coming to this video, everything you need is below. If you want to go back and take a listen to the Unity Code light language, to the Union reading, to the Divine Masculine light language transmission, or this Divine Feminine light language transmission, everything you need is in the description box below. That is going to be it for this week. I'm still a little bit taking a break, seeing what comes in, but we will be back next week picking up on Sacred Union energy updates, seeing what's going on with the Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine. But powerful, powerful energies coming in right now. Please let me know how you're experiencing this on your journey. This might be resonating with you, but it might look a little bit different. Everybody's path is a little bit different. We're all part of the same collective, but everybody's journey up the mountain might look and feel a little bit different. So please feel free to share how this is resonating with you. Major shifts coming in, major timelines shifting, major upgrades happening, because we are really anchoring in this new dimension. And you guys, it just feels so good. It feels so good. You feel that shift within you, and there's no going back. This is what it was all for. This is what the work was for. I can even see it, for those who are doubting your connection, who are doubting what you're feeling. I can even see it and experience it because I'm with my divine counterpart. I mean, he's here with me, physically living with me. I can see the shifts and transformations happening in real time. And so it's magic. It is magic. And it's because of all the work that you're doing on yourself, that empowerment on yourself, that is leading to the shifts in your physical world. So everything that we've been channeling is here and now. It is being created here and now. And it's onward and upward from here. It is just so magical and so beautiful, and it just feels like divine love. And I'm not just talking about divine love between you and your counterpart, but divine love between all, with source, with the universe, with all living consciousness. It is that wholeness, and it's not going away. We're anchoring this in, and it is so powerful and beautiful and magical. So have faith, keep having faith, keep anchoring this in, keep doing the work. You are doing such a beautiful, beautiful job. And if you ever feel like doubt or wavering, know that you have such support behind you from your spirit team, from me, from the collective. You are doing an amazing job. Don't lose faith in yourself. I love you so much. I'm sending you so much love and light, and we'll see you next time. Bye.